Good afternoon. Um, I'm Catherine Curran from the Minnesota Center for Systemic Constellations and on excuse me, the conference committee for our upcoming conference. I'm here with Francesca Mason Boring. I'm pointing as though she's to my right, but she might be to your left. It just always depends on how this goes. And I will introduce her in a minute, but mainly let her talk about herself. I just want to remind that our theme is called One Circle from Separation to Wholeness. And it is from March 8th through the 12th at the Lumina Resort on Wrightsville Beach in North Carolina. Excuse me, I have a cough. And and you can register at NASCcommunity.org and then look for the tab that says conference details. So, without further ado, I'm just going to say, I don't know if I said it. NASC means North American Systemic Constellations. I don't know if people always know that. So it's an attempt to integrate our work between Mexico and the United States and Canada. So I first met Francesca at my first intensive in 2015, and she she's been my teacher. She's come here and done constellations for us 4 different times. She's one of my students' favorites, and she has a deep history with constellations, and also I think with this kind of reality, non-ordinary reality. I think from her own background, but that's for her to say whatever she wants to about that. And she's written many books, some of which you might know. She's featured all over the world. She was on the editorial board of the English speaking journal, The Knowing Field, and I'm sure I'm missing other credentials that you have in our field, Francesca. But you're I just love being with you. And so now I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you to introduce yourself a little bit, maybe how you got into constellations, and then we'll move on from there.
Well, I always enjoy being able to spend any time with you, so I appreciate that part and um, the things that you've been able to do to develop constellation work and expand it in your area and beyond is really um, really encouraging. Really touches my heart because it's been a lot of work and I admire that.
Thank you.
Um, so I feel very fortunate that family systems constellation work came to me through Sneh Victoria Schnabel, who met the medical director on a train in Germany and committed to come and do a training in the middle of nowhere, rural northeastern Washington state, and over 2 years' time provided a training.
In
And
the early 2000s, right?
pardon?
The early 2000s?
Yes, yeah,
Before Constellation was
1998 or something like that.
before Constellations was anywhere in the United States.
Yes, and she came
1998. I'm sorry.
way out to do that. And so it's just really wonderful that it was, as the work was emerging, the first generation had spent time with Hellinger, so Sneh Victoria Schnabel and Gunther Weber and Bertold Olsemer. Um, and they were very generous, particularly in that for me, on my mother's side, I'm Shoshone, and I saw so many parallels between systems constellation, family systems constellation, and a lot of different Native American cosmology and wisdom traditions as well. So I realized more by the day what an unusual group of people those folks were, that they were curious and willing to be inclusive, and so those places where the work seemed so organically indigenous, there was no push to exclude that. So, so many things like the hierarchy of order within a family system things that are really acknowledged actually by all of our traditions at some point in time, I believe. And so I also started to speak about universal indigenous
Yes.
because so many of the concepts really have seeds in every culture, every country in the world. So yeah, so I feel very fortunate that that the work came out to where I was, and that the folks that were involved in the development of systems constellation were open and encouraging and inclusive. So yeah, so that was really quite something. And yeah, and so I've really been committed to it and very um, I just find it very hopeful. Um, and for every event that's happened in current events throughout the period of time that I've been involved, I can see that there is something about this work that really um, shines a light on our humanity. And really, when we look through a systemic lens, um, there's just a kind of generosity that I think could serve all of us. So I feel just really passionate about the impact that it can have and that it does have.
Right. And I just want to say, I see that in your generosity to me and other people who are trying to do this work. And I really appreciate it.
Mm.
Um, So we could spend a lot of time talking about all the things you've done because there's been a lot, and I know that. But we've asked you, and you graciously accepted to be the keynoter for our final day at the conference in March. And so I'm wondering if you could tell people a little bit about your keynote and what you hope to focus on as part of the flow from
Right,
from the conference.
right. So I think that it really is inspired. The title of the conference, looking at from separation to wholeness. I think that as families, as societies, global communities, um, that really is something that's needed. And at the core of all of those movements in family systems constellation, what we start to see is that really the momentum for that greater movement is love.
Mm.
And so I feel really excited, really hopeful to do something that I'm in a perfect world, I'm hoping, will really shore people up as facilitators, but also folks who come just out of interest who may not be really involved in constellation work. Sometimes people take advantage of forums like this to sort of have a wide exposure. There's the interest, and it's sort of a way that they can really get a good sense of what is family systems constellation and what are systemic constellations. So so I'm really going to be focusing on love, how to um, really how to support our own capacity for that, how to make room for it, and how, when we really come from that place, when we really have come to the place where um, we have room for accepting our own destiny. So there's no criticism of my biography, it is just part of what my life has been. And so when I'm able to be comfortable with my biography, with the truth of whatever was present for my parents, um, adoptive, biological, to really make a space for all of that. And then to be able to really have a loving lens that's able to include all of my ancestors and whatever diaspora has impacted or been a part of my family system and history. I just have a real sense that there is an incredible strength and internal integrity that comes for people when they're able to really um, be with love. And that is something that family systems constellation really opens the door for, not in a dogmatic way, but in a really organic soul movement kind of way. So yeah.
Well, I mean, the first book was called Love's Hidden Symmetry. Do you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I often go back to that. But I know in the last few years you've focused especially in this area because of some things you were wondering about and thought you saw in some of the people that you encountered doing constellations. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, yeah, I feel really grateful. I live in northeastern, rural northeastern Washington state, so we have winters like some of the other winters in the north, and it means that I don't ever travel during the winter. I'm really at home and really sitting with integrating what I've observed during the year or um, what has expanded in my understanding of the work
Hmm.
um, that really makes a place for me to see things in a way I hadn't before.
Mhm.
And so, one of the things this past winter, I'm very thankful. Um, a little book came as a result that's called Love and Family Systems Constellation, The Invitation of Life. And one of the things that began to
Is your
become,
is this your new book or
yes,
yes?
yeah, that's my new one.
Well, it sounded
And
like somebody had sent it to you and
It's new and it really just is about love.
Hmm.
And I really revisited many of the different writings now. Happily, there's just an abundance of literature around Christmas. Sorry, I don't like Christmas. around around family systems constellation, and actually it was around Christmas because December is when I was doing a lot of the writing, and so it was just a lot of things converged. And one of the things that I know I've shared with you that I was so touched when I revisited this place where Hellinger said somebody was asking, um, what do you do? Like, what do you focus on when you're facilitating? Because he was so open to questions. And he said, I look for the love and I do whatever I can to defend it.
Mhm.
And that was so in keeping with what I had started to realize that I observed at different points in time. And that was the place at which love actually needs to be defended because it's uncomfortable for people in the group, or it's uncomfortable for the facilitator, or it's uncomfortable for the person who's looking at their family system and who has a narrative that is really atrocious.
Mhm.
And that may be true. But when we do constellation work and they start to see the place where there was also love, um, that is sometimes not an easy emergent or an easy transition.
Interesting. Yeah, you wouldn't think that. But as you were talking, I'm thinking it's because whatever we might have been told that love was in that system, right? It turned out to not be that, but that's what we associate that word with. I don't know if that is kind of what you're getting at or not, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and it just is such a rich area,
Mhm.
and I know that there are so many other we can look at trauma and to know that even that can coexist with love.
Mhm. Right.
That to really be able to make a space for it and to allow it to be there is something that I think um, we have that funny attention allocation where the brain likes to look just at one thing at a time.
Okay.
But in fact, we're a bit more complex than that. So, yeah.
So you're saying holding them together.
Right, right,
Well, and
right,
hopefully one informs the other.
right. Well, and I mean, I love when you did that with your hands and it was like this circle.
Yeah.
I think that that's just really that was kind of a field movement because for for us to be able to come
Oh, yeah.
together and
Mhm.
really be um, daring, having the courage to be in that sphere
Mhm.
where, in a way, you can say, yes, there are polar opposites, there are poles, fields that don't seem to be congruent, but when they're all part of the circle, everything has a place. So I think it's so beautiful that you just had that movement and um, the nature of the circle and the invitation for a circle, that it's not soliciting only one view,
Right.
but really
Right.
inviting every view that is a part of systems constellation and the conversations about systems, um, that every view has a place. And
Mhm.
that's how we find wholeness, I think.
Yes. 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 Including it all.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about why you're passionate about this? I think we've covered a lot. Or anything else you want to say, just, in preparation for the conference.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing people. Um, it's one of the things um, that is so essential and it's so helpful. I really love that when we have these conferences and coming together, it affords a kind of time to really be able to connect with someone else. And so I really look forward to that part. Seeing sometimes it's really exciting that conferences are the places where something actually emerges just out of a conversation. That two people decide, oh, we have 5 minutes, let's have a quick coffee together. And, this is kind of what I'm thinking about doing. And the other person could say, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for someone to do that. So the consistent expansion of this work that has invited horses and yoga and nature and dance and sound and all of the different aspects that are a part of us and a part of the way that different people move. I'm maybe most excited about what will emerge as a result of people coming together and having those exchanges,
Oh, me
which is
too.
sort of an addition to the program for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, but
Yeah.
that's the part that I find most um, exciting because you just never know um, which two people will come together just for even a 5 minute chat,
Right.
or maybe an afternoon walk, or um, those kinds of things really, I think, are how this work has continued to emerge. Yeah.
I agree. We're about at the end here. I just want to say you and I had a little 5 minute chat like that at the end of the first North American systemic or the first North American intensive. And I don't know how this happened. This is my memory of it. You pulled me into a room. You said, if you're trying to organize a conference, and I was trying to bring Gordon and Nancy Lenny Wheeler here, I would suggest the boot constellation, where you get all these shoes and you put all these different possible ways of marketing. You write them on a card and you put them in the different shoes, and then you sense into like I had Gordon as a cowboy boot in the center. I didn't realize he was from Texas, and you know. And and put and see what comes to the center, see what wants to move in, and mark it that way. And that's what we did. And the rest is history.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
That's
um,
so that's so
yeah, I want to thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you in a few months. Again, it's March 8th through 12th at the Lumina Resort on Wrightsville Beach in North Carolina, and we hope to see everyone there. So,
And may I say also, I am really impressed that somehow the conference committee was able to make that really amazing venue affordable. I don't know how that was negotiated, but I encourage people to look at that. That was really stunning, really stunning.
I, I will tell our conference chair that because that was all her work, Susan Macman. She was,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
really amazing.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, take care.
Take care too. Bye-bye.